Greetings and welcome to the Astronomy Picture of the Day podcast. Today's picture for May 23rd of 2025 is titled NGC 6366 versus 47 Ophiuchi. So what do we see here? Well, here we see two objects centered here, and one to the left and one to the right. Now, the one to the left is a globular star cluster known as NGC 6366, and that is an example of a globular star cluster, which are among the oldest objects within the galaxy. They were some of the very first things to form when our galaxy formed over 10 billion years ago. And we see those remnants now, and they continue to orbit around our galaxy. They actually exist in the halo of our galaxy, which is a spherical distribution of material, and mostly older material, which dates back to the very early times within our galaxy and when it was beginning to form. So when we look at a globular cluster, we tend to see a lot of old stars. And that means we're going to see lots of red giant stars, stars which have evolved off the main sequence and are now going through the later stages of their lives. In fact, many of the stars that are evolving within a globular cluster are stars much like our own sun, as these globular clusters can be 10 billion years old or more, and that's about the age of our sun. That's about how long our sun can last on the main sequence, burning hydrogen into helium in its core. So many of these stars that we see that are red giant stars could have once been stars much like our own sun. Now, to the right, we see another object, and that is 47 Ophiuchi. Now, that is a star, and in this case, we can see that here, and we see why we usually don't show a lot of pictures of just stars, because there isn't a whole lot there. The star itself has a diffraction pattern going through it. That is the cross pattern that we see, and that cross pattern will be visible for any object that is a point source of light. Now, for stars, that's essentially every star in the universe. There are only a handful of stars, our own sun being one, and the large supergiant Betelgeuse, that are big enough to be able to be seen as a disk. Our sun we see very easily, but through a powerful telescope, a very powerful telescope, Betelgeuse can be imaged as a tiny disk, and we can actually see that with Betelgeuse. Other stars, no matter how large they are so far away that they just appear as points of light. And that's what we're seeing here with that diffraction pattern going through it. That is a result of the optics of the telescope that will give us that pattern on any point source of light. The brighter the point source, the more obvious that will be. But if you look at some of the other stars within the image, you may be able to note that there are small diffraction patterns going through them as well, just not near as prominent as they are on the brighter star that we see. Now, this is a relatively nearby star. 47 Ophiuchi is actually only about 100 light years away, which puts it relatively close within our stellar neighborhood. It's not the closest star by a wide margin, which would be Alpha Centauri, or actually Proxima Centauri, about a little over 4 light years away, but only 100 light years away is still a relatively nearby star. And here we see it actually is a binary system, although you can't really see them here because they are too close together. So you wouldn't be able to separate them with a telescope to be able to see them. You'd need a much higher resolution to be able to see this as two individual stars. So that was our picture of the day for May 23rd of 2025. It was titled NGC 6366 versus 47 Ophiuchi. We'll be back again tomorrow for the next picture, previewed to be Deimos before sunrise. So we'll see what that is about tomorrow. And until then, have a great day, everyone, and I will see you in class.